Hello everyone, welcome. Today I thought I would talk about Java classes and objects. The book does a good job of talking about the mechanics, but classes and objects are the most important concept that we're going to have in this course. They're not necessarily the most difficult or the most subtle, but they are the most important. And so I thought I would try to come at it from a little more conceptual point of view. So today we're going to talk about the relationship between classes and objects, and we're going to talk about the object creation process and a little bit on constructors, a little bit on encapsulation, not much. We'll be talking about the dot operator and how to access objects. And we'll actually have some examples of objects that store other objects. And we'll talk about accessors and mutators a little bit. Now, to get started, this is a cookie cutter that my wife lets me use for this. And let's say that the cookie cutter produces the whole cookie. Okay, we'll simplify it greatly. There is a difference between this cookie cutter and the cookies it produces. They are related, but they are not the same thing. In particular, I only have or need one cookie cutter, and I can produce as many cookies as I want with this cookie cutter. At the moment, now there are some attributes that are attributes of this cookie cutter, and I don't need any cookies to understand those attributes. Two of the biggest ones are shape and, say, area in here. We could also think about the height and the width being attributes of the cookie cutter. On the other hand, there are some things that are going to be unique to the cookies produced by this cookie cutter. Dough type, for instance. One cookie may be chocolate chip, one may be bittersweet chocolate chip, one may be double chocolate, bittersweet chocolate chip, whatever flavor you want. They may have different toppings. You may have cocoa sprinkled on top, or you may have chocolate sprinkles on top. And these cookies will have different weights. So that is the relationship between a cookie cutter and a cookie. I can use this cookie cutter to produce cookies. The cookie cutter has some attributes, but the cookies produced by this cookie cutter can have their own unique attributes, and each cookie can be different, maybe different dough, different topping, and so forth, so that maybe each cookie is unique. I don't know. So this is roughly the idea that I can say that this cookie cutter represents a template for a cookie, and I can produce as many cookies as I want. When it comes to the cookie cutter, I don't need any cookies to understand the attributes of the cookie cutter itself, but this cookie cutter does not have a dough type, it does not have a topping, it does not have a weight. Those are attributes of each individual cookie. In Java, the analog to this cookie cutter is a class, and we have been writing classes actually all semester. You always do public class hello, and then inside you put a static method that we've studied before, and you put the main method in there. So the cookie cutter corresponds to the class, and your next question is, okay, what specifies the cookie? And it's that same class file that I was just talking about. The cookie cutter or the class information and the cookie or instance information, instance or object, however you want to say it, are all intertwined. Those specifications are all intertwined in that one class file. The next question is, okay, how do I tell what's an attribute of the class? And how do I tell what's an attribute of the cookie itself? And the answer to that is the keyword static. If something is labeled as static, it is an attribute of the class, meaning it's part of the cookie cutter. If something is not labeled as static, it is an attribute of the cookie, not the cookie cutter, the cookie itself. So public static void main, that main method is an attribute of the class it's in. No objects are involved in this, at least not at this level. So how do we create new objects? We use the new operator, like you've used new scanner all semester. And so let's walk through an example. In Blackboard, there is an item entitled lecture example, and that's where I'll be putting this video. And I'll also put some starter code, and I'll put some lecture solution code. Download the starter code and put it into your IDE, and we'll start thinking about writing a cookie class. So I'll end this video right now and let you start on that, and we'll come back up, walk through the cookie class, let you modify it some, and then we'll start running it. Talk to you in a minute.